So today's This or That segment has been brought to you by throwbackbuys.com, your one-stop shop for all things nostalgic. Whether you're looking for kooky sweaters, the Malibu Barbie Dream House, or even the Demon Lord Furby, Throwback Buys is a site for you. Use our code NJPOD for 15% off your order. Details will be linked in the description below.
Let's do it.
So I tried to pull some of our fun ones that we just haven't done yet off of our list. And if you have any ideas for this or that we want to do on the channel,
Please send them.
send them in an email, put them in the description
Yeah,
below.
we've had some good ones.
We have had some good ones. I mean, we had people recommend what's going to be on our next episode, but we'll get to that in the next episode. So the first one, Sabrina the Teenage Witch or Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Very easy for me.
Which one you going with?
Buffy, man.
Really?
Yeah, only because Sabrina, I watched. I think everyone's watched Sabrina the Teenage Witch. If you haven't watched even the reruns, I don't know who you are. But
you don't live on this planet, as Cruz
Buffy
likes to say.
was one of those like late 90s, early 2000s TV shows where when you're a teenager, you're like starting to watch shows because of the hot girls, not just because. And I felt like obviously it led to another show, but obviously Angel, which my wife loves. But Buffy for me was a very good entry to like a, young adult kind of TV show.
Supernatural.
Yeah, like a young adult TV show. So that's the only reason. I love Sabrina. I watched it. Me and my sister watched it a ton. But for me, if I had to choose, like if they said you only got one show to watch, Buffy was more exciting.
See, for me, it's Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Yeah.
Hands down. Sabrina the Teenage Witch was actually my introduction to Melissa Joan Hart.
Okay.
And I mean, it was a show I'd watch it every single day.
Yeah.
I watched some episodes of Buffy.
But your mom wouldn't let you watch Buffy.
Yeah, exactly. That's 100%.
That's probably why.
No, I couldn't get into it. I liked X-Files. I liked some of the other shows in that genre at the time. Couldn't get into Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
Maybe I should give it another try. But just like you said, if you only got one show, it'll be Buffy. If I only got one show, it's gonna be Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Okay.
I'm a comedy guy.
Yeah,
I love comedy.
And again, there's nothing. I love Sabrina, but if I had to choose one, it would be Buffy. What did our public say?
So our voters on Instagram, which if you want to partake in our this or that, follow us on Instagram, because every now and then they release. There's no warning when they're going to happen. You have no idea which ones are actually going to make an episode.
Correct.
But every now and then we drop our this or that on our surveys and our stories. Instagram said Sabrina the Teenage Witch, 63% to 37%. I thought it was going to be closer. I expected Sabrina to win, but I expected it to be more like 55-45.
Now, here's the question. Obviously, they voted. The vote is in. But is Sabrina the Teenage Witch a more iconic TV show than Buffy the Vampire Slayer?
I would say no. I would say if you're going to put up Buffy the Vampire Slayer against Melissa Joan Hart, then you got to put Clarissa Explains It All.
Yes.
If you're going to put up an iconic role, that's what it is.
Yes.
I think the other aspect, because other than up to a few years ago, I think Melissa Joan Hart has more substantial iconic roles than, why am I blanking on her name from Buffy?
Well, you got to remember, after Buffy, Geller, she did more adult stuff. There was no more like teen kind of. Oh,
she was Scooby-Doo as well, right?
Yeah, but that was
Family.
obviously that. Yeah. And she did like some of the horror movies, which kind of put her in a different.
But that's why I'm saying I think that Melissa Joan Hart had more iconic roles.
What?
Between Clarissa,
Okay.
Sabrina,
Okay.
and Melissa and Joey, I think that every every
But
10
you're
years,
talking, you're talk so
they're sitcoms.
they're different. You're talking about she became a movie star. Geller became a movie star. She was a sitcom star.
Agreed. But I think we're talking about someone who's dominated the sitcom like circuit versus someone who has not been an A-list celebrity inside the movie circuit. I think Sarah Michelle Gellar has done great. I don't think that
But
she's been
after
as iconic.
you, it, you ask the kids that grew up in the 2000s, movie wise, she had a really long run, and only recently has she's kind of faded away. But she did have a long run of banger movies after banger movies after banger movies.
Okay,
So
well maybe we'll have to do a showdown
of both,
of
yeah,
both of their IMDb
yeah.
pages.
On to the next one.
So the next one, we're going with the battle of the girl groups,
Okay,
Spice Girls or TLC. For me, this is super easy.
I'm for me, it's easy too.
It's TLC.
Yeah, 100%.
Like to me, they're not even in the same category.
No, I mean, Spice Girl was like a global
Phenomenon.
phenomenon.
But for how long? Not even 5 years?
No, but in its time, it
Oh yeah.
was mass chaos.
It was.
Um, but yeah, TLC is, come on, man,
That's my thing. Like
they're iconic.
they've been consistent.
Yeah, they're obviously, even with losing,
Mhm.
Lisa Left Eye, they're still relevant.
I think if it weren't for TLC, all that would not be as big as it is.
Nope.
Because I mean, we talked a little about this on the podcast before. Between when TLC recorded the All of That theme song and when All of That released, like a year and a half later, TLC dropped their first album and released Waterfalls.
Yeah,
TLC to me is also just more musical.
yeah,
Did I love the Spice Girls as a kid? Did I have a crush on Baby Spice and Ginger Spice? Of course I
yeah.
did. Scary Spice scared the crap out of me. But TLC, like they're not even in the same
Yeah,
ballpark.
they springboard a lot of the girl groups from the late '90s, early 2000s too. If without TLC, you don't have a lot of the other girl groups of that time.
Unfortunately, Instagram did not agree with us.
It's because of the fad. The
It was like we said, the global phenomenon that
Yeah,
it
it was a
was.
phenomenon.
Instagram voted 59% to 41% in the favor of Spice Girls. So I guess you and I are just not on the same page as more than half our audience. I I still I'll still fight. I still think TLC is better than Spice Girls.
100%. It's not even close. It's not even close.
I will say I did get messages and DMs with this poll specifically of people saying this isn't a fair comparison. How can I choose? Not this isn't a fair comparison as in one's way better than the other. This isn't a fair comparison as it's too difficult to choose.
Yeah,
So I'm wondering how many people felt that way.
yeah.
What do you say we get to our last one?
Okay.
So our last this or that, I took our fictional girl groups, Gem and the Holograms versus the Hex Girls. One I know you grew up with, and one I grew up with.
Man, I'm gonna go with Gem.
Yeah, and I would go with the Hex Girls. It's my punk emo love.
I know.
I mean, I've already talked about my love for the Hex Girls.
Yeah, it's both. I'm only picking because of my time period, but I really didn't care for either.
I mean, so here's the thing. I think I never really watched Gem that much. I don't have a lot of iconic memories of it from
Yeah,
childhood. I do have a lot of memories of the Hex Girls. I feel like everybody that I talk to about Scooby Doo that grew up in my age bracket, Hex Girls always comes up in conversation.
correct.
And so I know for me, Hex Girls was like the iconic Scooby Doo girl group, or just iconic aspect of Scooby Doo.
Yeah,
I don't hear a lot of 80s kids talking about Gem and the Holograms.
no, it was short lived too, right? It wasn't like it wasn't really a big thing. It just like a lot of the cartoons in the 80s, right? It was just,
It is coming back though.
is it? Who's bringing
So
it back? Disney?
Barbie started redoing Gem and the dolls.
Oh, so they're just gonna do dolls, not like a,
I don't know if they're bringing back the show, but I do know that they just released one. I don't know, Gem maybe one.
yeah,
It was one of Gem or one of the holograms.
yeah,
I don't know if that's what they're called, but
yeah.
it was one of the figures, and someone that I follow on Instagram had the original figure complete in box, and then the reissue, and it's almost one for one.
Really?
So I gotta say, in regards of being a fan of showing like favoritism or just showing that love for packaging,
Yep.
it's really cool that Barbie or Mattel is doing that.
Awesome.
So, but I don't know. Instagram said Gem and the Holograms over Hex Girls. It was 55% to 45%.
Too close.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Hex Girls wins
Yeah.
just because I like Hex Girls more.
Okay.
But if
Let's-
you have any ideas for this or that, let us know in the comments below. Send us an email at nostalgiajunkiect@gmail.com. All the information will be linked down in the description below. But let's get into our meat and potatoes.
Yes.